Another virus is causing problems in China. While the world is battling the CCP virus pandemic, China sees another deadly infectious disease surfacing. A major Chinese city goes into semi-lockdown. That's after a new outbreak struck the area, the first time in 7 months. No deaths post-vaccination in China. The country has given the world's highest number of shots, though no deaths have been reported. How involved are Chinese companies when it comes to the American entertainment industry? A U.S. music giant is making gains, and one Chinese company is celebrating. And Fortune 500 companies are fleeing China, but what's driving them away? Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. As much of the world continues to face challenges from the CCP virus pandemic, China on Wednesday reported a new case of a different infection, bird flu. A man has been hospitalized in southern China's Guangdong province after contracting the H5N6 strain of bird flu. The report cited unnamed experts as saying the risk of human-to-human transmission is low. It didn't give other details, including whether the man handled poultry. The H5N6 virus is one of several potentially dangerous flu variants found in poultry flocks or wild birds. It was first detected 7 years ago in Southeast Asia and later spread to China and other countries. People infected with the H5N6 virus develop symptoms like coughing, diarrhea, and fever. It has a fatality rate of nearly 60%. Cases of human infection with the H5N6 virus have been reported in several Chinese provinces. At least 4 people have died. Besides bird flu, now for an update on China's CCP virus pandemic situation. That's the virus that causes COVID-19. The country is battling an outbreak in its eastern Fujian province. A large makeshift testing facility opened Tuesday in the province's Quanzhou city, one of the hardest hit areas there. Chinese state media reported that the facility can test up to 10,000 people a day. But officials in the city reported just one new case locally on Tuesday. According to official figures, the city has found a total of 24 confirmed cases. While in 3 other cities, also in Fujian province, that number is still growing. On Tuesday, an official from Xiamen City announced a new medium-risk infection zone. That means visitors to the area have a medium risk of contracting the virus there. Though one resident told the Epoch Times' Chinese language edition that the outbreak there is more serious than officially reported. He said in some areas, entire residential buildings are emptied daily. He also pointed out that no confirmed cases have been reported in his village, yet officials closed all factories and banned residents from leaving. Another virus outbreak struck northeastern China's Harbin, the capital city of Heilongjiang province, with a population of 10 million, which went into semi-shutdown after reporting new local cases, the first time since early February. We used a pseudonym for this local store owner to protect his identity.
We are all doing nucleic acid tests now, and all businesses have closed. As of now, the police have blocked the city's entrance. They don't let anyone out. People can only come in.
Local authorities first reported 3 new infection cases on Tuesday. That number rose to 8 the following day. Due to a lack of transparency imposed by the communist regime, we cannot independently verify the information. But the city seems to be on high alert, as residents in several districts have until midnight to be tested. The rest of the city must be tested before midnight Thursday. We used a pseudonym for this hotel worker too.
The infection case is spreading so quickly and more people are exposed. We did the test. All our staff did it. Of course, we did it overnight last night.
According to state media, city officials halted all vaccinations for the virus for 3 days to focus on mass testing. The city also ordered its residents not to leave. Indoor venues and tourist sites were ordered to limit visitor traffic, and the city said it was suspending classes for a week. A group of health experts from Beijing arrived in the city on Tuesday.
The outbreak must be quite serious.
It's unclear if the infections were linked to the Delta variant outbreak in Fujian province, more than 1,200 miles away in the southeast. According to local media, the first case in Harbin was found when the infected person visited a local hospital for testing. The hospital soon suspended operations and began testing all patients. But before their case was confirmed, the infected person had visited several locations across the city, including restaurants and a shop. Their county has suspended bus and taxi services and locked down some areas. Countries, including the U.S., are closely watching reports of deaths after people have had the CCP virus vaccination. But in China, as of now, there are no such reports. Yet China has administered the highest number of vaccine doses in the world. NTD's Juliet Song has the details.
China has administered over 2 billion virus vaccine shots, the most of any country so far. But for now, there are no reports of anyone who's gotten the vaccine dying afterward. That's as of Wednesday. In comparison, the U.S. ranks after China and India. But the U.S. has reported over 7,000 deaths of patients post-vaccination. It's unclear if the shots are linked to those deaths. American health providers are required to report them. But in China, typing the terms CCP virus vaccination and death into the country's largest search engine, Baidu, yields no such data. The top search results mostly focus on Taiwan's latest reports of death after vaccination. In addition, the country's state-controlled media have tried to debunk rumors of people inside China having died after virus vaccination. Like this one from People's Daily. It says there are reports circulating on social media that a resident from Shanxi province died after getting the jab. But the reports add that police investigation has confirmed that this is a rumor, and local police have arrested the rumor spreader. But in China's southwestern Chongqing city, one resident is questioning whether the vaccine caused her sister's death.
My sister couldn't walk and fell to the ground about half an hour after the shot. And after she got up again, it looked like she had facial paralysis.
Cai's sister was rushed to the hospital and died 3 weeks later. Cai says 2 other residents posted information about her sister's death on social media and were hauled into the police station afterwards. Juliet Song, NTD News.
Concerning reports are coming out of Taiwan. Over 700 Taiwanese residents are said to have died after getting vaccinated against the CCP virus, the disease that causes COVID-19. That's according to a briefing from Taiwan's premier.
As of now, over 13 million CCP virus vaccine doses have been administered, so it's impossible to have nothing go wrong.
Taiwan uses vaccines from several major brands, including AstraZeneca, Pfizer-BioNTech, and Moderna. Premier Su says a panel of experts are looking into what caused the patients' deaths.
The government won't shy away from any responsibilities that we should shoulder.
As of now, over 11 million Taiwanese people have received their first jab, and Taiwan has reported over 7,000 adverse events following the mass vaccination. Though the government says over half of those adverse events are non-serious. The government estimates that over 70% of the population will have received their first jab by late October. By then, the government may consider easing some of its virus control measures. A U.S.-based entertainment giant is making gains, and one Chinese company is now celebrating that success. Universal Music Group represents stars like Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber, and investors seem to like what they hear. The group's shares leapt more than a third in their stock market debut in Amsterdam on Tuesday. The world's biggest music label saw its market value to almost $55 billion. Its listing is the biggest in Europe this year. Among the major winners from the listing is China's Tencent. The tech company now owns 20% of Universal Music Group's shares. Universal hopes to build on deals with ad-supported sites, including TikTok and YouTube, as well as streaming services like Spotify. It also has rights attached to its huge back catalog, covering the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and Billie Eilish, and collects royalties from its artists across social media platforms. U.S. regulators are reviewing video conferencing company Zoom's purchase of an American company, citing national security concerns over the company's ties to China. That's according to a letter posted on the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC's website. In July, Zoom reached a $15 billion deal to buy customer service software company Five9. Advisory firm Institutional Shareholder Services warned of risk due to Zoom's substantial operations in China. A group led by the Justice Department is now reviewing the deal. It asked the FCC to put the deal on hold until the review is done. It's also facing mounting privacy and security concerns after research reports revealed in some cases its encryption keys were being transmitted to servers in China. This is the latest move by the U.S. government toward Chinese telecom companies. In recent years, they carried out a campaign to expel the communist regime's ties to the sector in the U.S. China's troubled real estate firm Evergrande continues to gain traction. Some speculate that the Chinese regime could transform the company into a state-owned company. That's to prevent Evergrande's oversized debt from creating an economic and social crisis. Here are the updates.
Ailing Chinese property giant has eased market jitters, for now at least. The firm said on Wednesday that it would make a payment due on a domestic bond. That calmed fears of an imminent default, with the potential to unleash financial chaos in China and beyond. China's central bank also helped, injecting $14 billion into the banking system in a signal of support. But the worries are far from over. Evergrande remains weighed down by around $300 billion in liabilities. It owes money to countless banks and other lenders, as well as retail investors and suppliers. That means the impact of any collapse would be complex and uncertain, raising fears of contagion across bond and stock markets. Evergrande has also made no mention of his plans regarding another bond payment due on Thursday and one due next week. Even so, Wednesday's news did help to lift markets worldwide. European benchmark indexes rose around 1% in early trade. Evergrande's Frankfurt-listed shares jumped by around a quarter.
And as the world's most indebted real estate giant Evergrande can't pay back its creditors, now it's offering to give them not cash, but discounts to buy housing. But the Chinese residents who poured their savings into the company's high-yield investment products are not interested. An expert worries such approach can only push China's real estate market deeper into trouble. NTD's Penny Zhou has the story.
Heated debate broke out in a recent meeting in Shanghai after Evergrande proposed an offer to pay back creditors with discounted housing. We used the pseudonym for this investor to protect her identity.
This is a forced sale. We lend you money. You cannot repay it. Should we not sit down, both sides, to discuss a repayment plan? You unilaterally came up with 3 payment plans. We disagree. Does anyone agree?
Protests have broken out in the past weeks, with some besieging the company's headquarters demanding their money back. Dr. Frank Xie, professor in business from the University of South Carolina, says offering discounted housing likely won't solve Evergrande's problem. He added the creditors would only resell the properties at even lower prices, and that could further drive down China's real estate market, even leading to a potential collapse. Real estate in China has been slowing down. New home sales saw a 24% drop in August compared to last year, and land sales collapsed over 50%. Analysts say September's data may look much worse thanks to the Evergrande saga. Penny Zhou, NTD News.
For years, China has relied on real estate to drive economic growth. Could Evergrande's trouble mark an end of that growth model? If so, what's in store for the Chinese economy, and what would it mean for the world? We spoke with an expert to find out.
If you think China's economic numbers in the past decade have been looking great, a big part of that is thanks to real estate. The sector accounts for 28% of China's GDP and is a major force driving its growth. But to achieve that growth, China buried quite a few landmines along the way. Now Beijing is trying to deal with the mess it created over the past decade. Amid China's real estate boom in recent years, a lot of money has been pulled away from the manufacturing industry and into the housing market, and into real estate stocks. This has caused China's economy to lean further away from the so-called real economy, which deals with concrete flows of goods and services, and towards the virtual economy or finance. In addition, local governments in China have been selling lands to developers as a way of paying off their mounting debts. It's also proven a convenient way for Chinese officials to get kickbacks, an open secret in Chinese society. Given what's happening with Evergrande, some expect the Chinese economy to start shifting away from real estate and virtual economy. But political analyst Dr. Anders Kaur says that transition may be costly for China.
The problem is that there's a lot of real estate infrastructure. There's a lot of jobs and real estate companies, building companies that depend on that for jobs. And they're going to have to, there's a lot of transition costs to transitioning those people to new jobs.
If real estate stops serving as a driving force of China's economy, which is already slowing down, it remains to be seen whether the regime will be able to find a substitute and fast. And as the world's second largest economy and second largest importer, a troubled Chinese economy is sure to spill some of those negative impacts beyond its borders.
A growing number of global Fortune 500 companies are speeding up their withdrawals from China. South Korea's Samsung Heavy Industries, Japanese electronics giant Toshiba, and Swedish telecom manufacturer Ericsson are closing their branches in China. And that's just in September.
Thousands of Samsung employees gathered at the company's Ningbo plant to protest the factory closure. They held banners saying, "Samsung is my home. I want to work. I need to support my family." South Korean shipbuilder Samsung Heavy Industries, or Samsung Heavy for short, is withdrawing its capital from the plant. According to a South Korean media outlet, the reason behind the move is decreased productivity caused by superannuated factories. Samsung employees blame government policy, saying they suffered the most from major policy changes. In May 2008, then Chinese Communist Party Secretary of Guangdong Province, Wang Yang, proposed an industrial restructuring strategy. He dubbed it "Vacate the Cage and Replace the Bird," meaning to relocate or eliminate certain industries in the region and replace or upgrade others. A document said Ningbo city authorities signed an agreement to reclaim about over 470 hectares of land owned by Samsung Heavy Industries. Mr. Zhang is an employee of Samsung's Ningbo shipyard. He told the Epoch Times Chinese language edition that early last year, workers had heard Ningbo officials were planning to take over the land, adding that they plan to build a chemical zone. Samsung Heavy is one of many in the same situation. More foreign Fortune Global 500 companies are speeding up their withdrawals from China this month. Japanese electronics giant Toshiba and Swedish telecom gear maker Ericsson are also closing their branches in China. According to Japanese outlet Nikkei Asia, Toshiba will shutter its factory in China's northeastern city of Dalian at the end of September. Toshiba Dalian opened in September 1991. The upcoming closure marks its 30th anniversary. Swedish telecom gear maker Ericsson is closing its research and development center in the eastern Nanjing city. According to Chinese financial media company Caixin, Ericsson's second quarter financial report indicates an over 60% drop year-on-year. Amid the consequences of the US-China trade war, coupled with the impact of the pandemic, the global supply chain has seen the importance of disconnecting from the Chinese Communist Party. Chinese financial blogger Financial Cold Eye explains, now it's a major trend for the foreign companies of Fortune Global 500 to move their industrial chains out of China. As for other companies, Japan's Panasonic Group will also close its battery plant in Shanghai, China. And earlier this year, computer hardware company IBM shut down a research institute in Beijing after 25 years in operation. According to a CNBC report from March last year, Apple, Microsoft, and Google plan to move their production lines out of China to other Asian countries. While Nikkei Asia reported that global consumer electronics maker HP, Dell, Microsoft, and Amazon are all looking to shift substantial production capacity out of China.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping is clamping down on the entertainment industry. More than 700 talent agencies in China have been shut down so far this year. 100+ talent agencies were canceled in June alone. That's according to data from Chinese enterprise information website Tianyanca. Early this month, the China Performance Industry Association released an announcement asking agencies to assume responsibility for the political education and loyalty of artists and to fire those who are not subordinate. The association warned that agencies that didn't comply would be punished. A week later, the association held an online meeting, issuing self-regulation measures to online platforms. The online platforms responded quickly. After the meeting, they jointly issued a statement outlining their self-disciplinary action, saying they would strengthen censorship and encourage people to report. Zheng Qianyuan, director of the Taiwan Policy Research Institute, told the Epoch Times that the purge is all about Chinese leader Xi Jinping cleaning out the Shanghai clique. That's the group of officials who rose to prominence under former CCP leader Jiang Zemin 2 decades ago. Zheng explained that China's entertainment industry has close ties to the CCP. The lucrative industry used to be under the control of Jiang Zemin. Zheng said purging the entertainment industry is a warning from Xi and also a sign of his authority, but that it also raises speculation about the reach of Xi's control. China-based commentator Lu Bai says the CCP's clampdown on the entertainment and other industries aims to divide their assets while the Chinese economy is under strain. A new cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region aims to counter China's communist regime. Japan is welcoming a permanent British military presence in the region as Chinese forces increasingly assert their position there. Here's NTD's Eddie Atkin with the details.
Japan's Minister of Defense, Nobuo Kishi, welcomes British Minister for Defense Procurement, Jeremy Quinn, in Tokyo. The visit of Britain's Minister of Defense Procurement, Jeremy Quinn, symbolizes the fact that Japan and the UK's cooperation on military defense has developed in various aspects. Japan is seeking to expand its military cooperation beyond its traditional alliance with the US as China's navy increasingly presses its territorial claims. Kishi praises the formation of the AUKUS Security Pact between the US, Australia and the UK. Strengthening cooperation in security and defence operations among the US, the UK and Australia is critical to the safety and stability of the Indo-Pacific region, and I highly welcome it. Britain is also tilting its defence strategy towards the Indo-Pacific.
Japan is indeed the UK's closest security partner in Asia. An increasingly strong partnership with Japan in defence and security is integral to the UK's vision in the Indo-Pacific region.
The British aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth made its first Japanese port call earlier this month. Kishi visited the carrier with Japan's military commanders. 2 British warships will stay in Japan, marking the start of a permanent military presence in the region. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.
Japan is the most important ally in the region for both the U.S. and other democratic countries. But what makes its support so critical? First, Japan is one of the most successful democracies in the world, enjoying the globe's 3rd largest economy after the U.S. and China. On top of that, it's reached the highest level of technological development in the region. The U.S. views its alliance with Japan as the cornerstone of U.S. security interests in Asia and as fundamental to regional stability. Central European country Lithuania is going a step further to counter China's authoritarian regime. The country's defense ministry recommended that consumers avoid buying Chinese mobile phones. And to those who already own them, the minister says throw them away. That's after a government report found the devices had built-in censorship capabilities. Lithuania's state-run cybersecurity body said on Tuesday, flagship phones sold in Europe by China's smartphone giant Xiaomi can censor terms such as Free Tibet, Long Live Taiwan Independence, and Democracy Movement. The report says this capability in a certain Xiaomi model had been turned off for the European Union region, but that it could be turned on remotely at any time. The National Cyber Center says they found the same security flaw in a Huawei phone. However, Huawei's representative denies the accusation. The center's report says Xiaomi's censor list currently includes 449 terms in Chinese and is continuously updated. And that's all for today's China in Focus. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.